Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are taking a look at a Collecta figure, and this is one that's been out for quite a while, but since I was recently going through a few older figures that I had in some boxes in storage and saw how beautiful this one is, it kind of jumped out at me and made me want to review it for you guys, and I do intend on doing a lot more reviews of older figures, things I've missed, because I kind of would like to make Andy's Dinosaur Reviews sort of like a database of figures where anytime you're interested in a figure or you want to see a review of a figure, I kind of hope that I will have each and every figure at some point here on the channel where you can pretty much come to find a review of anything you are interested in. I may not ever get everything, but the majority, as far as most of the common companies, I would like to hope I can accomplish eventually. So again, we will be reviewing more older figures with the newer figures, kind of switching it up, especially as the year goes on and the newer 2020 figures aren't quite as abundant. We'll definitely be reviewing a lot more older figures as a mixture with whatever newer figures are released. So again, this is the Collecta Daxiatitan, and it is an extremely cool looking figure. Beautiful sauropod, very underrated, underrepresented species of sauropod, and I do believe the only company I know of that has made a figure of this is Collecta. Again, sometimes there are figures from Kyoto that I don't know about because I really don't know about a lot of the figures Kyoto makes, but they may have released one of this, I don't know for sure, but as far as I know, this Collecta version is the only one for sure that I do in fact know of. So again, the figure at first glance looks really good, definitely a very nice green paint scheme with a lot of striping all over, helps to give it a bit of a striking look with some overall very natural looking colors. Kind of has that war paint type of a look that Collecta tends to use up there on the head, which is a little hard to see because it's a bit of a large figure as far as the height goes, so it's kind of hard to fit into frame. But let's go ahead and get a closer look and we'll be able to see the whole figure overall. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see how nice that head sculpt is. It's beautiful looking, really nicely sculpted as far as the detailing, but the entire dinosaur has that very gentle giant type of an appearance to the head sculpt. It honestly looks almost friendly with the way that Collecta has presented it here, and I really think it looks beautiful. And even with this war paint, as they like to call it, type of a paint scheme on the face from Collecta, I think that it actually looks really good, helps to give it a bit of flashiness, and potentially could have been something a species like this would have had on its face. So I really think that as far as the war paint look goes, this is probably one of the better versions of it, and I really like the usage of the black and yellow and how they play off of each other up here on the head. Looks really cool. The lower jaw has a very nice greenish coloration, which then trails out here onto the body, then becomes the majority of the body as far as that green, and then that kind of like yellowish green here on the underside. It's like a mixture of both of those up there. The eyes are painted beautifully, and they're given a really nice black paint, beautifully glossed, very realistically, nice detailing around the eye as well. The mouth is open and you can see the teeth along with the tongue in there. The tongue appears to be painted with a fairly realistic looking coloration, and the teeth are also sculpted and painted quite nicely. You don't really see any sloppiness for the most part, maybe a little bit of minor sloppiness, but for the most part, how small those teeth are, they are impressively well painted. The eye over here is also perfectly painted, really nicely placed and beautifully glossed as well. Moving down the neck of the dinosaur, you can see lots of really nice scaling as we lead down the neck, but also quite a bit of osteoderms as you lead down the neck. You kind of see them all over the place. There isn't really too much going on as far as showing movement in the dinosaur throughout the neck sculpt because the neck is pretty much straight up in the air, so you're not going to see too much going on as far as wrinkling or anything in the neck sculpt. There's lots of creases in the skin. You can really see it so much on the throat area. But for the most part, you're not going to see too much going on in the movement of the skin department of the neck, but you can see how really nicely done the scale work is as you move down the neck, and they really start to get a lot bigger as far as the scales go the closer you get to the actual shoulder blades and body area. But you can also pick up on those beautiful osteoderms as you lead down the neck. They look really good. The detailing on the underside of the neck also looks great. It kind of starts out with like this flashy, almost like a yellowish color here in the throat, and then transitions to like a creamy type of a color here on the underside, almost like a version of khaki, sort of. And then you can see up here that the neck is primarily that nice green, but it also has that really striking black stripes that run down the entire neck down here into the body. once you actually get down here into the body, look at how incredible the scale work is. The sauropods from Collecta, I feel like, are so incredible continuously. Really impressive figures when it comes to Collecta. I feel like they may excel at sauropods more so than almost anything else. And that's really saying something because Collecta excels at almost everything they do, in my opinion. Really nice, very large osteoderms all over the body. Up here in the shoulder area, you can see the shoulder blade protruding from the skin there. It looks very muscular. The entire leg looks extremely muscular as you lead down here into the front leg, down into the foot sculpt. Beautifully sculpted out feet, nicely painted nails there. Well, nail on each side. You've also got some significant muscle tone as we move up and down the leg, but you can also see a few variations of green. And again, those really nice black stripes that pretty much litter the entire body. The scaling also looks really good and becomes quite large here on the upper part of the leg. And then once you get down here into the lower part, down into the foot, the scaling gets a lot more finer. That looks really nice. Beautiful movement shown here as far as the skin kind of reacting to the movement of the leg in that vicinity. This Daxiatitan is really well fed. You can see quite a bit of girth in the stomach region. Definitely not a thin animal, not something that is starving by any means. The scale work in the stomach region also looks extremely nice. Again, as I'm turning it, you can see so many different varying sizes of the scales, and you've got those very large osteoderms once again up here on the back. You also have kind of like a scoot or osteoderm-like appearance that has some ridges that run down along the spinal column of the dinosaur as well. Moving down here into the thigh, you can see some very nicely defined musculature, and then we come down into the rear leg. Very beautifully sculpted, nicely sculpted foot. It's got the nails painted out there really nicely. Again, that black striping kind of littering the body and the beautiful greens. It looks really, really nice. And then as we lead out the tail, you can again see those osteoderms run the entire length pretty much of the body out to this very nice tail sculpt. And it again transitions from like that light coloration to like a yellowish out here on the tail. So really nice color variation. You've got those beautiful stripes that again help to give it a bit of a flashy appearance. You've also got a cloaca here on the underside, but you can see the detailing here on the underside of the dinosaur looks great. Every single area that you look at this Daxiatitan, it is honestly fantastic. This side of the dinosaur looks great as well. Beautiful detailing as we lead down the neck. You've got those really nice osteoderms again, just like we saw on the opposing side. This side of the neck really doesn't look too different than the other side. As I said, the dinosaur's head is primarily straight up. The legs are also almost in the same position. The only difference on this side would be that this leg is planted on the ground, and this one over here is kind of starting to lift up. And these two are just ever so slightly in a different pose. But the detailing for the most part looks very similar on this side to what we saw on the opposing side, which does mean that the detailing looks fantastic on both sides. As you lead out the tail has a really nice curve. Looks great once again. It doesn't look like it's anything that would be too far off as far as the realm of possibility of movement for this type of dinosaur's tail. So overall, I think it is a fantastic figure. As far as the size goes, from the end of the tail there to the head, you're looking at about 11 inches or 28 centimeters. And for a height, as I said, it's pretty tall, about 8 inches or 20 centimeters. So it's definitely got a significant amount of size to it. Being a smaller figure, it's not a deluxe or anything from Collecta, so it's not super huge like a deluxe figure of this species would be, but honestly it is a beautiful size for a fantastic sauropod. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon standing next to our Collecta Daxiatitan, and you can really see how well these figures size up to it. Again, showing that the figure overall isn't huge, especially when it comes to its body mass and generally the body itself, but once you take into consideration how long that neck is, you can really see it has some significant height to it. So this Collecta Daxiatitan is an amazing figure. There's quite a few sauropods that Collecta have released over the years that I am absolutely blown away by, and this is definitely one of the top sauropods in my opinion from the Collecta line. Everything about this figure is just absolutely breathtaking. The sculpt is just fantastic. You can see so much incredible work has been put into the sculpt, sculpting out all the wonderful scales all over the dinosaur, showing the movement even though there isn't too much going on. For the most part, it's in a fairly neutral, kind of calm looking position, but what little bit of movement that would be shown in the sculpt of the skin there is definitely shown quite nicely in this sculpt from Collecta. There's also some beautiful osteoderms all over the body, a really nice ridge line that runs down the spinal column of the dinosaur as well. So the sculpting of this is fantastic and really gives you that gentle giant appearance. Very majestic looking dinosaur. The paint application also is really nice. I'm not always the biggest fan of the war paint type look on the face of a lot of Collecta figures, but I think it really looks fantastic on this one specifically, and the way that the greens and yellows on this dinosaur play off of each other looks extremely cool, and somehow looks really natural on the figure overall. I think that the wonderful striping with the black playing off against those greens looks like something that I could actually see this sauropod being if it just happened to wander down my street right now and I looked out the window. I feel like it could potentially look like this, which is always saying a lot when it comes to the paint job done here by Collecta. As far as the decision that they made to paint it with this paint scheme, I think it was definitely a great choice, and I love the fact that they kind of used like some yellow in the throat and at the end of the tail to give it a little bit of flashiness and a little bit of color variation, but I really think that overall the paint scheme of this was really quite nice. So this figure as a whole is fantastic. There is not anything that I can honestly say about this figure that would even remotely be a downside. Beautiful from every aspect, the paint, the sculpt, the size, the pose, it is all great if you ask me. So if you would like to pick this up, I will leave a link down in the description to where you can do just that from Dejankins.com. So make sure you check down there, pick up this fantastic Collecta Daxiatitan. But before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.